time will not permit me to talk about a Frederick Douglass, a black man who escaped slavery and learned how to read and how to write most obscure situation because he saw the servitude of his people. He mobilized a community to rise up when others will say, why can you not live a normal life? It was a pen in the hand of a ready writer. Frederick Douglass arose when he knew that he could die. God gave his son called Fredrick in order to liberate people. What is God calling Spark Nation from? For liberate people from poverty. Martin Luther King Jr. advocated for social balancing, 30 times in prison, 30 times locked up, lied against as a fraud, cheated about money. They said he took money from people, fought, was fighting for the social balancing of his own people. He was a preacher. Actually, he went to theology school. And in his days, the preachers did not accept him because it's not like them. Who is a preacher on the street is preaching on the street. But God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son in that generation. At that time, that was his son. He wants to get the word back, and God does things by any means necessary. What can I say about Che Guevara, the Cuban Revolution? He was a medical doctor like you, sir, medical engineer. He was a medical doctor who saw for the first time the oppression of his people. Che Guevara abandoned medicine in order to be a revolutionary, in order to raise a generation, establish socialism. Either you believe in the idea or not, it doesn't matter. It is just the fact that certain men can give themselves and push a limit. Oh God, are you listening to me this afternoon? Eventually found a Fidel Castro, and they teamed up and fought. The first thing they took over was organized labor. But these men gave themselves. So the church is still struggling with tithe. We're saying, what's tithe and offering? These men that changed the world, the people that even our pastors preach about, gave themselves. Why is the pastor running home now? The service is over. I'm with my family. I'm raising my family. Martin Luther King Jr. had a family. A medical doctor that could have been great, Che Guevara, started living in bushes. Declared wanted by the state. Why? Because he believed something with all his life. Charles de Gaulle of France, arrested during the First World War, thought he was fighting for his nation, but at some point was arrested himself, and he erased the Free French movement. What about Vladimir Lenin? He saw his brother executed, met many oppressed Russians. I've taken you to Russia now to see givers. I don't think these people are going to hell just because they didn't go to church. They were God's sons fulfilling a purpose at a certain time for a certain mission. Vladimir Lenin saw his brother executed and saw the oppression of his own people and decided to rise as a visionary, revolutionary leader at the cost of his own life. Givers do not mind. They know that giving has consequences. Sometimes it took Martin Luther King Jr. out of his house, locked up 30 times because he believed in something. I don't care how weak you think you are, how much you think you are not eloquent. Once you believe in something and give to it, you become the greatest of all. Fidel Castro, Cuban Revolution, became a pioneer because of his oppression. He pioneered 1966. He established a solidarity group. This guy, even though the whole country was looking for him to kill him, to destroy him, calling him all kinds of names, this guy was able to sneak into many nations of the world until he organized labor in every nation of the world. Nothing grows without persecution. So don't embrace an actor, a musician who comes to a rally and talks and go home. We don't know where you live. We don't know anything about you. Fighters are fighters. They are not just protest. They are not just protest people. Their own life. It is fight that is written. One man fought the oppression of Saul. His name is David. How did these people live a disciplined life? They fought their own pleasure. That is the love for God. You can have money and you don't do the line, and you are free to do that, and eventually you become part of a church that just counts numbers in order to meet their monthly bills. But God says, I don't even want you to have any monthly bills. I want you to have fighters, people who understand go and they run, because they are freedom fighters. Do not look for these names. Everyone who fought with David belonged to the name of David. They were great men. Eventually they developed a name because they fought through the wilderness. What can I say about Mahatma Gandhi? These are people you can go read about yourself. I'm coming to the ultimate in a moment. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believe. Jesus is the greatest freedom fighter of time. This guy raised a revolution that will not leave the world forever. This guy could fight with sword and everything, but he refused to. He fought a war of ideology, but yes, he was bruised because he's not going to use violence. Are there fighters in this house this afternoon? Because all the men that I've given to you, that I've spoken about, from Martin Luther King Jr. to Che Guevara, to Mao, to Charles de Gaulle, to Mandela, they were ordinary men like you and I. Men like recorded in Hebrews 11, men of faith.